I, 32F, have always had a complicated relationship with my sister Rihanna, 35F. Growing up, Rihanna was the golden child in our family. Our parents gave her everything while I had to work twice as hard for half the recognition. She was the pretty one, the smart one, the one who always made the right choices according to our parents. When Rihanna got straight A's, she got a new car. When I got straight A's, I got a pat on the back and was told to keep it up. This pattern continued throughout our childhood. Rihanna got to go to expensive summer camps while I stayed home. She got designer clothes while I got hand-me-downs. When she wanted to take dance lessons, our parents found the money. When I wanted to join the school band, they said it was too expensive. I'm not sharing this to sound bitter, but to explain why I distanced myself from my family as soon as I could. At 18, I moved out for college. I worked 2 jobs to support myself because I refused to ask my parents for help. They were too busy paying for Rihanna's expensive private university anyway. During college, I limited my contact with my family to major holidays and occasional phone calls. It was better for my mental health that way. 10 years ago, I met my husband Jake, 34M, at work. He was different from anyone I'd ever met. He saw me for who I was, not as Rihanna's less successful sister. We dated for 2 years before getting married in a small ceremony. My parents complained about the simple wedding, comparing it to Rihanna's extravagant celebration when she married Robert, 36M, 6 months later. Robert came from old money. His family owned several successful businesses and had a reputation to maintain. They were also extremely traditional. His mother constantly talked about family values and how a woman's place was in the home. His father would make comments about working women being the downfall of society. Rihanna didn't mind their views. She'd always wanted to be a trophy wife, and now she had her chance. The problems started when Rihanna couldn't get pregnant. Robert's family had very specific expectations. Their firstborn grandchild would inherit the family business. They wanted an heir, and Rihanna wasn't providing one. For 3 years, Rihanna and Robert tried everything. They visited fertility specialists, tried alternative medicine, even went on special diets. Nothing worked. Robert's parents started making pointed comments at family gatherings. They would talk about Robert's cousin's wife who had just had twins, or share stories about some business associate's daughter who was pregnant with her 3rd child. The pressure was intense, and I could see Rihanna cracking under it. Then came the ultimatum. Robert's parents sat him down and told him that if Rihanna couldn't give them grandchildren within a year, he should divorce her and marry someone who could. They even had a suitable candidate in mind, the daughter of one of their business partners. Rihanna was devastated when Robert told her about this conversation. He said he loved her and wouldn't leave her, but I could tell he was also feeling the pressure. That's when Rihanna started acting strange. She became secretive, making phone calls when she thought no one was listening, meeting with people she wouldn't tell me about. One rainy night, she showed up at my house in tears. After several glasses of wine, she finally told me her plan. She had met a pregnant teenager through an online adoption forum. The girl was only 16 and wanted to give up her baby for closed adoption. Rihanna saw it as her perfect chance. She planned to fake a pregnancy, and when the baby was born, she would pretend it was hers. No one would ever know the truth. I was shocked. I told her this was wrong on so many levels. She would be lying to her husband, his family, and worst of all, the child. What would happen when the baby didn't look like either of them? What if it had medical issues they needed to know about? What about the biological mother? Was she getting proper legal representation? Rihanna dismissed all my concerns. She said she had thought everything through. She had already met with the girl and her parents, who wanted to keep the pregnancy a secret due to their religious beliefs. They had agreed to a private adoption with minimal paperwork. Rihanna had also found a doctor who would help her fake the medical records. She begged me not to tell anyone, especially Robert. She said this was her only chance to save her marriage and make everyone happy. When I still hesitated, she reminded me of all the times she had covered for me when we were kids. She said that as her sister, I owed her this. Against my better judgment, I agreed to keep her secret. I told myself it wasn't my place to interfere in her marriage. Maybe she was right, maybe everyone would be happier this way. It was the biggest mistake I've ever made. Over the next few months, I watched as Rihanna played out her deception. She started wearing loose clothes, then gradually switched to maternity wear. She faked morning sickness so convincingly that Robert installed a second bathroom in their house. His parents were overjoyed at the news of their coming grandchild. They threw her an expensive baby shower, bought her designer maternity clothes, and started setting up a trust fund for the baby. 9 months later, Rihanna announced the birth of Emma. She had arranged everything perfectly. The adoption took place the same day she claimed to give birth. She even had fake hospital photos taken. Everyone was thrilled with the beautiful baby girl, though several people commented on how she didn't look like either Rihanna or Robert. For 5 years, I kept her secret. I watched Emma grow into a sweet, loving child. She was bright and funny, with a personality all her own. Rihanna was a good mother to her, and Robert adored his daughter. His parents doted on Emma, though they often made comments about her looks. Rihanna would laugh these off, saying Emma looked just like Robert's grandmother when she was young. Then came the family dinner that changed everything. Robert's mother announced that she had bought genetic testing kits for all her grandchildren. She wanted to trace their ancestry and maybe find some famous relatives. Rihanna immediately protested, saying it was a waste of money. This caught Robert's attention. It was the first time Rihanna had ever openly disagreed with his mother. Robert started asking questions. Why was Rihanna so against a simple DNA test? Why were there no pictures of her in the hospital? Why did none of the family's features show up in Emma? Rihanna's carefully constructed lie began to unravel. When Robert came to me with his suspicions, I had a choice to make. I could either continue the lie and protect my sister, or tell the truth and potentially destroy her marriage. In the end, the choice was clear. Emma deserved to know the truth about her origins, and Robert deserved to know the truth about his wife. So I told him everything. Now my sister's marriage is over, my parents aren't speaking to me, and a little girl's world has been turned upside down. But I keep telling myself I did the right thing. Ida? Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Reading your responses helped me feel less guilty about exposing Rihanna's lies. Many of you asked for updates, and a lot has happened in the past 2 weeks. The DNA test results came back yesterday, officially confirming what everyone already knew: Emma is not Robert and Rihanna's biological child. Robert filed for divorce immediately after getting the results. His lawyer is also investigating the legality of Emma's adoption. From what they've discovered so far, most of the paperwork was either forged or never properly filed. Rihanna hasn't left her room at our parents' house since the truth came out. She moved back in with them the day Robert asked her to leave. Our mother brings her meals and says she spends most of her time crying or sleeping. Our father has taken leave from work to support his daughter through this crisis. They're both treating her like she's the victim in all this. My parents are furious with me. Mom called me every name in the book, saying I betrayed my own sister and destroyed her family. Dad sent me a long email listing every sacrifice they ever made for me, saying this is how I repay them. According to them, I should have taken this secret to my grave. They don't seem to care that Rihanna committed fraud or that she lied to everyone for 5 years. But here's what my parents don't know: Rihanna's deception goes much deeper than just lying about Emma's adoption. Yesterday, I received a Facebook message from someone named Ashley. She introduced herself as Emma's biological mother and asked if we could talk. I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop near my house. Ashley is now 21, but she was only 16 when she got pregnant. She told me a completely different version of the adoption story than what Rihanna had told me. According to Ashley, Rihanna found her through a crisis pregnancy forum where Ashley was asking for advice. Rihanna contacted her privately, claiming to be a social worker who helped arrange private adoptions. Over several meetings, Rihanna convinced Ashley that a private adoption would be best for everyone. She promised to pay Ashley's medical bills and provide monthly support payments until Ashley turned 21. She also promised to send regular updates and photos of Emma. Ashley was young, scared, and without any support. Her parents had kicked her out when they learned about the pregnancy. Rihanna took advantage of her vulnerability. Of course, Rihanna never kept any of these promises. She blocked Ashley's number right after getting Emma and never sent a single payment. Ashley tried to find her but couldn't because Rihanna had used a fake name in all their dealings. She only found me because she recognized Emma in a photo on Rihanna's social media where I was tagged. I recorded our entire conversation, with Ashley's permission, and sent everything to Robert's lawyer. They're now building a case against Rihanna for adoption fraud. Ashley doesn't want to take Emma away. She knows Robert is the only father Emma has ever known. She just wants to be part of her daughter's life in whatever way Robert thinks is appropriate. He's considering allowing supervised visits once the dust settles. When Rihanna found out about my meeting with Ashley, she showed up at my house late last night. She was clearly drunk and started screaming on my front lawn about how I've ruined everything. She said she did what any woman would do to save her marriage, and that I was just jealous because she had a perfect life while I settled for an average husband and a boring job. Jake had to call the police when she refused to leave. She kept screaming that I was dead to her and that she would make me pay for this betrayal. The officers finally convinced her to leave, but not before she broke several potted plants and scratched Jake's car. The worst part is that my parents are still completely supporting Rihanna. Mom called this morning to demand that I drop charges for the property damage because Rihanna is going through a hard time. When I refused, she said I was never really part of the family anyway and that she should have known I would turn out to be a disappointment. Dad sent another email saying they're paying for Rihanna's lawyer and will spare no expense to protect their daughter. He added that until I apologize to Rihanna and help fix this situation, I'm not welcome in their home. They've blocked me on all social media and told our extended family not to share any information with me. Robert's family, on the other hand, has been surprisingly supportive. His mother called to thank me for telling the truth, saying she wishes I had come forward sooner. They're helping Robert with the legal proceedings and have promised to treat Emma the same as their other grandchildren, regardless of biology. Emma is staying with Robert full-time now. His sister told me she's confused and keeps asking why her mommy isn't coming home. They've arranged for a child psychologist to help her understand what's happening, but how do you explain something like this to a 5-year-old? I don't regret telling the truth, but watching my family fall apart is harder than I expected. Jake says I did the right thing and that my parents are showing their true colors. He thinks we should use this as an opportunity to cut toxic people out of our lives. Maybe he's right, but it still hurts. Right now, I'm focusing on helping Robert and his lawyer build their case. Ashley has agreed to testify about Rihanna's manipulation and fraud. I'll update again when there are new developments in the legal proceedings. Update 2: It's been 3 months since my last update, and the situation has gotten even more complicated. The court proceedings started last month, and what came out during the hearings has shocked everyone, including me. Robert's lawyer did a thorough investigation into Rihanna's medical history as part of the divorce proceedings. What they discovered was devastating. Rihanna knew she couldn't have children even before she married Robert. She had several procedures in her early 20s that left her infertile. This wasn't due to any medical condition, she chose to have these procedures done because she never wanted to go through pregnancy. The most shocking part? She had these procedures done in another state, using our cousin's insurance card. The cousin confirmed this when the lawyer contacted her. Apparently, Rihanna convinced her to help by saying she had medical issues she didn't want our parents to know about. Our cousin had no idea what the procedures really were. Rihanna never told Robert about any of this. She let him believe they were trying for a baby for 3 years. She went through the motions of fertility treatments, took fake medications, and even pretended to be devastated every time her period came. All while knowing she could never get pregnant. But it gets worse. The investigation uncovered that Emma wasn't Rihanna's first attempt at adoption fraud. 2 other pregnant teenagers came forward after seeing the news story about our case. Both had similar experiences with Rihanna around 6 months before she met Ashley. The first girl said Rihanna approached her at a teen pregnancy center, again pretending to be a social worker. She offered money and support, just like with Ashley. This girl backed out at the last minute when her parents found out and hired a real adoption lawyer. The second girl actually went through with the adoption plan, but her baby was born with medical issues that would require expensive treatment. Rihanna ghosted her immediately after finding out, leaving the girl alone in the hospital with a sick baby and no support. These testimonies showed that Rihanna's deception wasn't a desperate, one-time decision like she claimed. She had been methodically planning this for years, targeting vulnerable young girls and abandoning them when things didn't go her way. During one particularly intense court session, Rihanna finally broke down and admitted everything. She said she knew Robert's family would never accept a wife who didn't want children. She thought she could handle letting them believe she was trying to get pregnant, but after 3 years, the pressure became too much. That's when she started looking into private adoption as a solution. Emma is now living with Robert full-time. The court ordered Rihanna to attend supervised visitation twice a month, but Emma refuses to see her. The child psychologist says Emma feels deeply betrayed and needs time to process everything. She keeps asking why her mommy lied to her and if that means she doesn't love her anymore. It's heartbreaking to watch. Ashley, Emma's biological mother, has been amazing through all of this. She's taking things slowly, following the psychologist's recommendations about how to build a relationship with Emma. Robert says Emma is starting to warm up to her, especially after learning that Ashley never abandoned her like Rihanna claimed. The biggest surprise came when my parents finally admitted they knew about Rihanna's infertility procedures. They helped her keep it secret because they wanted her to marry into Robert's wealthy family. Mom said they thought Rihanna would eventually change her mind about having children, and by then it would be too late for Robert to back out of the marriage. This revelation was the final straw for me. They knew their daughter was deceiving her husband, lying about medical treatments, and letting him blame himself for their inability to conceive. Yet they supported her because they wanted to keep their connection to Robert's family's money and social status. My parents still aren't speaking to me, but at least they've stopped publicly defending Rihanna's actions. The last I heard, they're trying to convince Robert's parents to help Rihanna financially since she's still technically their daughter-in-law. Robert's mother told them to never contact her family again. The court case is still ongoing, but Rihanna's lawyer has suggested she plead guilty to the fraud charges to get a lighter sentence. Robert's lawyer is pushing for full custody of Emma with no possibility of Rihanna regaining parental rights. Based on everything that's come out, it seems likely the court will agree. I'll post another update when the legal proceedings are finished. Right now, I'm just trying to be there for Emma while maintaining my distance from Rihanna and my parents. Update 3. This will be my final update. After 6 long months, everything has finally been settled, though not in the way anyone expected. The divorce is final. Robert got full custody of Emma, with Rihanna only getting 1 supervised visit per month. However, Rihanna hasn't shown up for any of her scheduled visits in the past 2 months. According to my mother, she says it's too painful to see Emma when she can't be her real mom anymore. The adoption fraud case was settled out of court. Rihanna took a plea deal to avoid jail time. She has to pay substantial fines and complete community service hours. She's also required to repay all the money Robert's family spent during her fake pregnancy and Emma's early years. The court also ordered her to pay restitution to Ashley for the promised support that was never provided. Ashley now has official visitation rights. She sees Emma twice a week and they're building a beautiful relationship. Emma was confused at first, but the child psychologist helped her understand that having 3 parents, Robert, Ashley, and her stepmom-to-be, who love her is better than having one who lied to her. Robert's new girlfriend has been amazing with Emma too, never trying to replace anyone but simply being there as a friend. Rihanna lost her job when her employer found out about the fraud charges. Apparently, they couldn't keep someone with a record of dishonesty in their accounting department. She tried to get another job, but our town is small and word travels fast. She's moved back in with our parents permanently and spends most of her time complaining about how unfair life is. Last week, I received a certified letter from Rihanna. She wrote 5 pages about how I destroyed her life and took away her only chance at happiness. She demanded that I give her $50,000 to help her start over in New City, saying it's the least I could do after betraying my own blood. She even threatened to tell lies about me to my employer if I didn't pay up. I forwarded the letter to Robert's lawyer, who sent her a cease and desist notice. My parents went to Robert's house last weekend, trying to convince him to drop the restraining order against Rihanna. They said Emma needs her mother and that everyone should forgive and forget. Robert called the police when they refused to leave. They're now banned from coming within 500 feet of Robert's property or contacting Emma. Jake and I have decided to move to another state. He got a great job offer, and I can work remotely for my company. We think a fresh start would be good for us, especially since my parents keep sending flying monkeys to guilt-trip me about Rihanna. Before we leave, Robert invited us to dinner to thank us for everything. He said Emma would always have an aunt and uncle in us, regardless of what happened with Rihanna. My cousin, the one whose insurance Rihanna used, reached out to apologize for her part in the deception. She's cut contact with Rihanna and my parents too, saying she can't trust them anymore. She's one of the few family members still talking to me. I don't regret anything I did. Yes, I lost my family, but I realized they were never really the family I deserved. Jake has been my rock through all of this, reminding me that sometimes the family we choose is better than the family we're born into. Rihanna sent me one final text yesterday. I hope you're happy with what you've done. You've ruined everything. I blocked her number without responding. Sometimes silence is the best answer. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. This chapter of my life is finally closing, and I'm looking forward to writing a new one, far away from the toxic people who happen to share my DNA.